Hey, Coach Arns here again. Time to talk about Japan. Now, Japan was extremely isolated through the whole 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, even most of the early 1800s. Japan actually had a closed door policy. They traded very little. The only ones they would trade with were the Portuguese. This is back in the mid to late 1500s. And one of the things they wanted from the Portuguese was guns and cannons. Eventually, they would make some of their own guns, but uh, this was very good for Japan because the local nobility, which were called the daimyo, these daimyo could get guns and have their own little armies. And Japan, in a lot of ways, has like a feudal system. The feudal system, like from the Middle Ages in Europe, where the nobility controlled small areas of land. Now, we haven't talked a lot about Japan, but also in Japan they had samurais. These samurais were great warriors. You've probably heard of samurais before. These samurais were great warriors with a sword. Well, when guns came along, pretty much anybody could shoot and kill a guy that's holding a sword. So it kind of made the samurai not completely obsolete, but it made them not as powerful. Um, so there was a warring time, and then starting around 1600, there was a family, a royal family that became known as the Tokugawa. Okay, and they ended up taking over Japan and controlling Japan so that it was not a bunch of warlords. The daimyo were really kind of warlords, and the Tokugawa, it's how do I say it? Tokugawa, Tokugawa. The Tokugawa ruled from around 1600 to the mid 1800s. They ruled with really a military type of government. They ruled very strongly over the daimyo nobility. Um, One of the great ways that they did this was to control the power of the daimyo with a hostage system. It was really pretty smart what they did. Um, they would keep the ruler, the daimyo, the local noble. They would have him live in Edo half of the year or 1 out of 2 years, depending on how they did it. And whenever the local warlord would go back to his hometown, his family would have to stay in Edo at the palace. So um, this prevented the daimyo from talking to each other and potentially trying to overthrow the Tokugawa. All right, so that was basically the short of it with Japan. Very isolated, but very stable during the 1600s, 1700s.